Hello, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your lunch. We are going to now have the presentation of the photo project from our partners at the Wilderness Society, and I will let them introduce themselves to you.
Thanks, Valerie. All right, how is my volume? Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Jill Gottesman, and I'm the Wilderness Society's director of our program work here in the Southern Appalachian landscape. I'm grateful and I'm humbled to live in these mountains here, the ancestral homeland of the Cherokee, and I'm honored that we're an ally and a supporter of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Indians. I want to thank the EBCI for welcoming all of us for this conference, and I want to thank NATHPO for the opportunity to share our project with you today. It showcases the incredible landscape and community here. You'll see the photos on the screens that will be scrolling through some examples of the project while we speak with you. They show this incredible landscape and community and their interrelationship. I hope that they help you to be grounded and present and inspired while you're here. This photo essay began as a part of the Wilderness Society's work with Natives Outdoors, where we aim to highlight the EBCI Natural Resource Department's Community Forest Program that TWS has supported since its inception, and create images of a significant part of this landscape and show how people are connected to it, as seen through the lens of an indigenous photographer. The project grew in size and scope as many incredible stories of people and place emerged to be memorialized in beautiful images. And in the backdrop, important conversations were had, connections made, and knowledge shared. Can we scroll through the photographs? Okay. Reflecting on this conference theme of our knowledge, our power, it was most significant to us as an ally organization to place the highest priority on centering our tribal partners and creating pieces that are meaningful and useful to them. We focused on the principles of free, prior, and informed consent as we made plans with tribal staff and the community members who joined us in creation. We worked with professional photographer Micheli Oliver to ensure that participants knew the intended use of the photos, had the opportunity to review them, and would continue to have the power to dictate the use of their own images at any time. We were intentional about places and objects that were shown and not shown. We worked with the EBCI Language Speakers Bureau to ensure that the themes and the specific words used in our captions were correct. We gave all of the images to the EBCI, curated and ready for use in any future endeavor. And though we are working hard to hold ourselves to the highest standards of collaboration, transparency, and communication, we at TWS humbly admit that we are still learning how to be the best allies that we can be. And for that, I'm grateful for our strong and meaningful relationships that enable that dialogue. I'm proud of this work and our learning and excited that it continues together. I'd like to introduce my colleague who really made this come together in such a beautiful and impactful way. EBCI citizen and community conservation specialist for the Wilderness Society, Kimberly Smith. Thank you again, and I'm wishing you a productive and profound time together this week.
I'm going to pause for a second so I can figure out how to display these for you all, so you can actually see the pictures. All right, let's hope that works. Shio Nagad, Gimiguela, Shemidi Dalgodon, Aniwaya, Gangeyu, Nole, Elawodi Osiho. Hello everyone, my name is Kim Smith. I am a member of the Wolf Clan and I reside in the Yellow Hill community. As a citizen of the Eastern Beta Cherokee Indians, I want to welcome you all to my ancestral homelands. I hope that your time here is filled with engaging knowledge sharing and networking opportunities, but that you also take time to find peace and restoration in our beautiful mountains. I'm humbled to stand before such a collective of community-centric Indigenous leaders working tirelessly to uplift their community and their tribe's voices. As Jill mentioned, I am the Community Conservation Specialist for the Southern Appalachian Landscape Team at the Wilderness Society, which is a mouthful, but centric to what I focus on and what I really lean into is the community aspect. I'm just going to click because I'm not tech savvy. I won't claim my millennial connection today. To that point, what I focus on is the community. Being able to partner with people in the community, that's the only way we're going to be successful at preserving our beautiful landscape and uplifting our Indigenous partners. What I fell in love with this project is the beautiful multiple layered storytelling that it provided for our community. Not only was this a project that created incredible images of our landscape, but it also gave Indigenous voices the platform to reclaim the narrative on what our relationship with our ancestral homelands is. I loved the inclusion and the relationship we built with our community leaders who speak our language fluently, being able to sit in a space with them and grow in my learning of our language and reconnecting with that myself. I will always be humble and grateful for this experience. And then there are tons of stories that each image captures throughout this photo essay, but some I will lean into are, there's a picture in here of a little girl named Mia. Her dad is Cherokee Nation, her mom's Eastern Band, and the photographer was able to create a gorgeous picture with her, of her walking on a trail. That trail was a historic Trail of Tears site, and her body was just in tune to the direction which she should be walking, which was towards our mother town. So her body knew that intangible need to reconnect and go in the right direction home. Another image we have in this photo asset is one of our medicine culture keepers, Oneida. Her and her son came to support this project, and during her time, it was her son's first experience being on a sacred site adjacent to the community forest project that Jill had mentioned. To be able to provide reconnection for another community member was something that, again, I am humbled to be able to be a part of creating. This project also took on another layer of storytelling, not only for the cultural activities that you see here with our stickball, but also with our food sovereignty. So our photographer was able to work with our community members to showcase the significance of Three Sisters in our community and the essence of life-giving by relationship with land. I could go on and on. This is the image with Mia in it. I could go on and on about each picture's story, but I want to lend space to our guest, Betty Maney, who is one of the incredible culture keepers that participated in the project. She is a basket maker, and I want to make that distinction because she is in relation with her craft from the tree to the actual finished product. So Betty, I'll give you the floor. Please share what you would like about your experience with this project.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Betty Maney. I live in the Big Cove community. I'm a third-generation basket weaver. As I was sharing with the table that I set out earlier, as a child, I didn't know the word babysitter. We were always with our mom like little chicks. We followed her around. I remember one morning she walked out to the woodpile, grabbed the axe, and went out to the hillside. She chopped down a tree, she broke it down and brought it back to the wood yard. And she began to break it down long ways and pull it apart into splints. But from that point up, Mom was always making baskets. I lived it. She never sat us down or sat me down and showed me how the process went. So when I got older, I decided one day I wanted to weave some baskets. And I asked her for the materials and she gave it to me. And I began weaving, and I made 3 small planters, probably about maybe 4 by 4 and maybe 6 inches tall. And I remember selling them because I needed some diapers and milk for my babies, because by then I had my own family. But I mentioned earlier that I was a 3rd-generation basket weaver. When my mom married my dad, his mom, Annie Powell Welch, was a basket weaver. And by the time Mom had me and my sister, she realized that Mom was going to need some extra money to help buy milk and clothes and food for us kids. So she approached my mom and asked her if she would learn how to make baskets and help her weave them, and she would take and sell them at the co-op, which at that time, the co-op is probably a little over 75 years old, and my grandmother was a member when she was still living. So Mom agreed, and that's how Mom started weaving baskets. And just by living it, watching her, and never bothering her, I knew the process as if I had been weaving baskets all my life. But those kind of memories of her just taking the axe and going out on the hillside not far from the house and chopping down the tree are long gone. Up to this point, there's been so much development. And when you're clearing land and you don't know the value of the resources that you have, you waste them. So that's what makes it so hard for us basket weavers to get the materials that we prefer, which is like white oak, river cane, which is probably the oldest historical material that the Cherokees used to weave. And we didn't only use them to weave baskets, we used them to weave walls and mats. And in our homes, they were used as mats and attached to the wall and used for chinking. So when they packed the mud on, that's what they used. It was used for traps, like fishing traps. There were multiple uses. Historically, they were utilitarian, so the materials were abundant then. Of course, we had to make our own stuff back then because we didn't have a Walmart to go out and get plastic bowls and pots and pans and things. So, but over the years, I thought, I'm going to try and learn as much as I can about white oak baskets, because for me, it tells the story of who I am as a Cherokee, who my people were, who my ancestors were, how they lived in their daily lives. And they were, it kept us busy. We didn't have television or anything like that, but, there was always a purpose to everything that we done throughout the day, whether it's making clothing or cooking utensils or storage or building homes. And I think that's why it's important that these types of materials are so important that we need to share it with everybody and part of the education in preserving our culture. And that's through art and education. And hopefully my grandchildren, when they decide they want to learn the process, I am able to take them out and show them materials and how to gather them. And we do. We teach our grandchildren. My sister Marianne, she has grandchildren, and oh, they love it whenever they can get out and dig in the dirt or go help her carry in some river cane. So that's who I am as Betty Maney, as an Eastern Band Cherokee. And I do, that's my livelihood, and it's very important to me. So, and over the years, I've taught a lot of workshops and presentations, but now, as I'm getting up in years, I'm finding my physical body isn't what it used to be. So I've decided to retire from teaching and doing workshops outside the koala boundary. And my goal, right now I'm in the process of setting up studios to have workspaces so I can share with other Eastern Band Cherokees who want to know about the craft that I practice. And I can say, sure, come on up, you know. You can hang out with me, you know, I'm not, you know, you can watch what I do, but that's the best way to learn, is just to be in it, to live it, to talk about it. And hopefully we'll have a lot more of basket weavers, not just basket weavers, but other Cherokee cultural crafters like potters and stone carvers. But one more thing I'd like to share with you is that I'm always a student, and I love to learn new crafts. Recently, I have taken a wood carving class under Bud Smith at John C. Campbell, and also Helen Gibson, who is a Brasstown carver. And with both, we spent 2 intense weeks of carving there. But it was fun, and I didn't think my hands could handle it, but I had a lot of fun. And another important, you know, I'm always a student, I'm always learning new things. But the other important thing that I'd like to share with you is that sometimes I just get this craving, I just want to get in my baskets, or I want to do my pottery, whatever the medium is, or whatever I want to work in. Once I get into it, it's as if you hone in and focus on what you're doing. And at that point, it becomes therapeutic. And I don't watch the time. And people like to ask me how long the process takes, but I don't watch a clock. If you consider you've got to get in the vehicle and go find your materials, then you got to break it down and handle each strip and prepare it. Then you've got to go find your dyes. Might be another day. Once you get them back, then you can wrap all your prepared splints, put them in a huge wash tub, and your dye of choice. Fill it up with water and let it boil. So, like for bloodroot, it might take a few hours to 6 or 7 hours. Butternut and walnut, which make black and dark brown, might take a day or two, depending on how light or dark you want your materials. But again, I don't sit down and watch a clock, but that's the process. And once all that's done and we've gotten past the dye process, then I can sit down and take those strips that I've prepared and weave a basket. I like to weave tiny miniatures. My mom shared that with me when her hands got too arthritic. She said, you need to learn how to weave these little miniatures. She said, my hands can't do it anymore. So I listened to her, and I wove a set of 3 little miniatures, which was they're 1 inch in all dimensions. So you can imagine how tiny they are. And I entered them in the Cherokee Indian Fair, and to my surprise, I took first place. So that kind of got me going after that, and that's where I really picked up and started weaving. And I became a member of Koala Arts and Crafts. I want to share a quick story with you about Miss Betty Dupree. She was the manager years ago before Vicki Cruz took over. But I went in one day in the early 90s and I took her a little basket and she said, well, Betty, how much do you want for it? I quoted a price. She looks at me and she said, now, Betty, she said, I can't give you a price like that. That's your mom's price, or Agnes Welch, you know, these well-established basket weavers. She said, you need to go out and enter some competitions and get your name out there. So I did what she told me to. So that's why I'm where I am at today, because I listened to my mom. Geraldine Walking Stick, by the way, is her name, and Betty Dupree at Quala Arts and Crafts. So, and I'm a member there, but that's who I am, again, as a Cherokee art and craftswoman or craft person. But anyway, I thank you, and I hope that I've given you enough information about why these materials are so important to us and why it's so important that, you know, we work together to try to figure out how to preserve those materials. I know a lot of us work with Articar and Adam Griffith at Cooperative Extension, and they're doing a tremendous job in helping us to educate people and find the resources. Another place that I'm impressed with is in Barberville, Kentucky, at the Daniel Boone Festival, which is held in October, the same week that we have our Cherokee Indian Fair. And they always, every Friday, they have a big banquet, and all Native Americans are honored, and they're brought in, and they do a ceremonial signing of the treaty that they had with the Cherokee to gather river cane. And all the landowners up there are just so wonderful about sharing. They invite us to come up, spend time on their farm, and gather the river cane. So again, thank you. And I hope you all have a wonderful, safe day. And enjoy your stay here.
Thank you again, Betty, for being a part of this process from the beginning to now and in the future. I do want to be mindful of y'all's time. Yes, I said y'all. I'm a Southern girl at heart. I can't escape it. Again, just to give you a update on some of the things that came from this project, we are now bringing the photographer back out for a mini artist in residence to do several projects throughout the community. The tribal housing program is wanting to utilize these resources to uplift their storytelling of what home means to the Cherokee people and to our Cherokee families, and the legacy of what they're providing citizens here. We're also working again with natural resources to expand their storytelling for food sovereignty. And then she's also providing some indigenous youth photography programming to teach our young children here how to work with cameras and how to create videography for storytelling in a different medium, and hopefully creating those future generations of storytelling to really go out beyond our beautiful mountains and reclaim that narrative of who the Cherokee people are. We want to offer the opportunity for conversation with all of you to possibly create new ways to partner with your tribes and your offices to uplift the work you're doing and create incredible stories like the ones you've seen during this presentation. I'll go back to the slide with our contact information, and if you want to scan the QR code, it takes you to the actual photo essay, which narrates another story, another level of storytelling throughout this project. So Shkin Egwa for your time. Thank you all so much. And thank you to the NATHPO organizers for being flexible and fluid with the schedule to incorporate us in the day's schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, ladies. Oh, my mic is on too. Here we go. Got it. Thank you, Miss Betty, and thank you, ladies, for your work on that and for sharing that project and those stories. It is really a gift to be able to see that.